Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. The series we've been doing is about breath, and breath is it's one of my favorite topics. And I know maybe breath seems like a bit of a boring topic, but I think that this is it's it doesn't mindfulness practice doesn't necessarily need to be something that's exciting, and I have to say that it maybe interestingly is breath is a topic that I do get excited about. I think because breath is one of those things that before I started practicing mindfulness, I found that it was just something that I just never really bothered to notice was happening. Something that is happening all the time, and it's very easy just to take it for granted and not notice that it's there. And breath has a lot of there are a lot of really fascinating things about it, and I mean besides you know the fact of the matter is that all life has some kind of exchange with its external environment. Even single-celled organisms don't exist without having some kind of interchange with the things that are outside of it. And breath is something that is common for pretty much all living things. That there is for animals and fungi, the breath is breathing in oxygen, breathing out carbon dioxide, and of course for plants the other way. It's breathing in carbon dioxide and exhaling oxygen, and this is something that has to be done for the process of life. So I mean, this is maybe one of the first reasons why to pay attention to breath is that it is something that we have in common with every other living thing. And I think you'll find intrinsic inside of the mindfulness practice is that there is a connection that we find with, well, first our fellow human beings, but when we start to dig down deeper and deeper into it, discovering as well that we do have a connection with all other living things as well. So the topic today is about how breath is something that bridges the conscious and the unconscious mind. So we choose the object of the breath for a variety of reasons. One, we carry the breath with us wherever we go, so you can meditate anywhere you want at any time. I was talking with somebody a couple days ago about how it's possible to meditate on the bus. How do you do it? How do I meditate in a place that's noisy? Well, one of the benefits of meditating in a noisy place is that we use our mindfulness practice to engage with our real lives. And real life is often very noisy, and all kinds of things are going on as we engage in our regular lives. And so meditating in a noisy place can be really good practice, so that we learn how to stay focused, how to stay centered, how to stay calm, even in really noisy situations. And so that's how we are able to bring some of our mindfulness practice in to our daily lives. So I mean, this is really and this being a huge benefit, by the way, you can notice that your breath changes as things go on. So if you have a habit of constantly coming back and observing the breath, you'll notice the breath changing all by itself without you having any control over it. In fact, if it was up to you to be breathing all the time, you'd find that you probably would forget to breathe, and we would end up not being alive any longer. I think that's that kind of segues into this idea of the bridging of the conscious and the unconscious mind. So most of the time, our breath just happens unconsciously. We're not aware of it. And as the breath happens unconsciously, you'll discover that in stressful situations, the breath and the pace of the breath begins to increase. And in times of anxiety, in times of stress, and of course, in times of physical activity. So, I mean, this is, two things happen, right? You've got one, physical physical activity ramps up, the pace of the breath ramps up to be able to provide enough oxygen for all of that, and then something challenging emotionally can happen. And emotions are part of our evolution. And so we've evolved to have emotions for quite a lot of things. One of the main reasons is that human beings are social creatures, and because that we're social creatures, that our survival depends on our ability to work together. And so a lot of these emotions that we have are related to survival, and related to that kind of teamwork and bonding that we have with each other. And of course, it also has to do with us escaping threats as well. And so, to go back, the sadness, depression is signaling for other human beings to be able to help us. And in the past, this was a more when we did live physically together in larger groups, this maybe had more. There's more of a fulfillment of that depression after we have it, compared to today, when maybe a lot of us spend more time alone and don't have that big group community. So breath is a sign of emotion, and you can see emotions aren't simply in the head; they manifest physically. You can feel emotions as physical sensations, and you can see how your emotions affect your breath. So the breath indicates through change in pace, change in depth. So you can notice your emotion through those indicators that happen in the breath. So breath has a lot of information for us when we're breathing without conscious awareness of it. And so this is one really big benefit of the unconscious side of the breath. But we also have, as human beings, the ability to control our breaths. And this also is very interesting, and I think this is something that we have the ability to tap into that a lot of other animals don't. Is that we can control our breath. So you can notice what's going on with your breath. If your breath is, you're breathing at a faster pace, you can intentionally change the pace of breath. And that physical change, this is something that is really interesting that I've discovered through practice, is that your mind and your body are not two separate things by any means. That the mind and the body are intimately connected, and there are lots of things that feel like maybe they just stick in one or the other, but are actually contained in both. And so what we can do is intentionally slow the breath to change the emotion. So not only can the emotion change the breath, but the breath can change the emotion. And so this is really interesting how the breath is able to kind of transcend that body mind, this kind of separation we may feel between the body and the mind, and actually, one, use the information of the breath to detect what emotion am I feeling right now, or two, also able to say, oh, I recognize that I'm feeling this emotion. Now I can use control of the breath to begin to have some calming effect to change how I'm feeling. And you can actually even do it in the other way around. You can control the breath and breathe faster and notice what happens to the body as well. You can become a bit more agitated. And I guess I kind of want to reflect back to this meditation retreat that I went on in September. And it was one of the interesting things about the retreat is, as we were meditating, especially in the beginning of our time sitting, we'd usually have 45-minute blocks to meditate. We, at least in the beginning, to spend a little bit of time to purposely elongate the breath to encourage the body to have a little bit more relaxation. All right, thank you, everybody. Great to have you here today. Let's go ahead and get into our period of mindfulness practice. So sit comfortably wherever you are. I would encourage you to choose a posture that is conducive to your practice, and by that I mean one that combines relaxation and alertness. So I would encourage you to move away from your backrest if you have one. Sit on the edge of your chair if you like, so that you are supporting your torso and upper body by the muscles of your back and your abdomen. So notice the body. Maybe as you begin to notice the body, you feel some tension. You can feel free to roll the shoulders, to move the head around. See if just through a few simple movements here in the beginning of practice, we can encourage a little bit of relaxation. Letting the shoulders rest down and back, just hanging, letting your arms hang by their own weight. Hands on the knees or in the lap. Crown of the head towards the ceiling. Noticing the face. Is the face relaxed? Is the jaw relaxed? If you can, closing your lips so that you're breathing through your nostrils, if you have a clear enough nose today. And allowing your jaw, your lower teeth, to move away from the upper teeth so that the jaw is relaxed, but keeping the lips closed. Tongue resting against the soft palate. So taking note of this posture and seeing if you can remain still. You may notice desire to move as you go throughout this practice, but see if it's possible for you to intentionally remain still. If discomfort arises, is it possible for you to open your mind, open your heart towards that discomfort, to explore it with curiosity instead of instantly labeling it as pain, as discomfort, whatever your default label is. Is it possible as we go through this practice to simply examine with curiosity everything that happens here in these moments? So feeling how the body moves with the breath. Chest is maybe expanding a bit, the belly expanding as we breathe in, contracting and releasing as we breathe out. So let's take about a minute or so to see if we can keep our minds focused completely on this physical sensation of breath. If you notice your mind wandering, remembering that that's normal and natural, so just to, as best you can, let go of whatever thought has come and refocus the attention 100% to observing the sensations of the body changing shape as you breathe. And now, as you follow your breath, is it possible for you to also just have a check of your emotional state? How are you feeling now? What has been on your mind before coming into this practice today? So seeing if you can identify where you are emotionally. And now coming back to observing the breath. And now let's see if we can take a little bit of control over the breath. So is it possible now to purposely elongate the inhalation and the exhalation? So see if it's possible for you to take slower, longer, deeper breaths. So maybe beginning by just counting your inhale and your exhale. See if you can count the number of seconds, or if it's possible to count the number of heartbeats of each inhale, of each exhale. And perhaps starting with the exhalation, see if you can elongate the exhalation by one beat of the heart, or by 1 second. So say you were breathing in for 3, breathing out for 4. Breathing in for 3, breathing out for 4. And then maybe extending both by 1. See if you can breathe in for 4, breathe out for 5. And so it doesn't matter what number you get to. What shouldn't be happening is we shouldn't be feeling uncomfortable, like we're stretching ourselves out, that we feel like we're suffocating, or we feel like we're not getting enough breath. So again, there's nothing to strive for here. We're just experimenting, curiously observing what happens to the body, the mind, and the emotions as we try to gently elongate the inhalation and the exhalation. And so how's it going? What's happening? Has anything changed about the thoughts, the emotions, sensations in the body? What's going on right now? And so now seeing if it's possible to once again change what we're doing, to let go of control of the breath, whatever counting we may have been doing, seeing if we can let go. Just let the body once again take over, the wisdom of the body. Knowing already when and how we need to breathe. Observing with your full attention that sensation of the in-breath, sensation of the out-breath. Congratulations, everyone, for having made it through our mindfulness practice today. I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining in practice today. Thanks for being here with me and with everybody else. Appreciate your support and this community in general. It's nice to see familiar faces and nice as well to see new faces. So welcome to anybody who's your first time joining, and great to see everybody who's been here before. And we're gonna move into our just period of looking at the chat, and I'm asking you how to go today. What did you notice as we began to elongate the breath? How were you feeling before and after? Did anything change? And maybe nothing changed, and that's a valid experience. So let me know in the chat. Let us know in the chat what happened for you today as you did this practice. And just want to look at what the chat before the meditation began. Micah says, I use ads in social media, TV as a prompt to put my phone down and to meditate on my breath until the ad finishes. Thanks, Micah. That's really good advice. I think that's really interesting. It's good to have some kind of cue to take a break from whatever it is that we're doing. I mean, I think sometimes we get really caught up, and especially it's easy to have media, TV, social media to hijack our attention. After all, that's kind of what it is designed to do. And mindfulness is a way to kind of take back control over our attention. Thank you, Micah, for sharing. Joanne says, I did that the other day while having a procedure. It was brilliant while listening to the noise of the surgeons and the nurses. Thanks so much, Joanne, for sharing that. I think that's, I've done that before as well. I think that was one of the really I remember it was when I first started practicing mindfulness, was sitting in that little waiting area outside the operating theater in the cold. That's one thing I always remember about the area outside the operating theater is it's really, really cold. And to just focus on my breath and to focus on the sounds and to not identify with the sounds as much as I could, just to see them as raw present moment experiences, and how useful that was to keeping myself calm, to stay in that present moment. The surgery hasn't started yet. I'm here, I'm waiting, and there's nothing for me to do except to lie here and wait. Thanks so much, Joanne, for sharing. Jean shares, my heartbeat slowed down. Thank you. Sybil says, I began to feel calm and still. Joanne says, I was feeling frustrated and angry, and after feel much calmer and accepting. Thanks for sharing, Joanne. And for anybody who felt challenged and agitated and angry and frustrated before the meditation, and now you're still feeling that way, just to let you know that this is valid as well. The meditation isn't necessarily going to change anything, and I think that's important to acknowledge. That often we come to the mindfulness practice, or we come to any meditation practice wishing something would be different, and when the practice is over, it isn't different, and then we feel even more frustrated. And I think that this is really one of the key aspects to this kind of practice, is to be accepting and open, and to let go of what your expectations of the practice may be, and just let come whatever comes. And it's this change in attitude that actually has one of the biggest impacts on us, on our ability to change, our ability to, what is that? What is that? Did you guys see this like bubble of thumbs up? Is this, like, do I do this and now a thumbs up shows up? Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. And I lost my train of thought because of this new feature. Yeah. Anyway, I'll go back. Let me go back to the chat. Micah says, it helps me to have numerous moments of stillness during the day, and also removes my annoyance at the ads, because now they have a purpose for me. Thanks, Micah, for sharing. That's really great. And Jean says, today I noticed that I could watch my breath while noticing my thoughts, which had gone to breathing techniques that were used when I was training in theater. Thanks, Jean. Thanks for sharing. All right. This is my, as I close out, I always have to kind of show my hungry feline friend here. This is his happy face. Is this your happy face? Unfortunately, Frank's breath is not under his control. Frank just breathes whatever his body tells him to do. He's not quite as have that ability to calm like we do. So see if you can. I so just kind of close out that thought before I got distracted by the thumbs up thing. Was that, like, acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation. Doesn't mean that you just go, oh, okay, I accept this. This is how it is. But it's that not resisting, that angry, I can't believe things are like this. I want things to be different than how they are right now. And it's that kind of angry frustration of pushing against what's happening in the present that we let go of. And instead of denial, I think that's really what it is. Acceptance in place of denial. Instead of denying, is it possible to accept, to roll out the red carpet for the experience and go, this is it. This is what's happening now. Welcome experience. and see what happens from there. And I think once we fully accept whatever challenging situation we're having, then, only then are we empowered to begin to start making changes to it. All right. I wonder if I can do other things. And does this like make hearts come up if I do this? Oh, that's great. Look at that. It's ridiculous. When did this update happen? It's like without me, without knowing anyway. I'm going to do one more. It's great. Okay. Thanks for being here with me, everybody, this morning. Let's close our practice the way that we do, with some well wishes. So follow along with me if you like. So feel free to repeat after me. Send your well wishes out to each other and to the world at large. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life, here on Earth and throughout our universe, be happy and peaceful. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. If you enjoyed practice, please follow me on Insight Timer. You can check out all of my recordings, the free and the premium ones. They're all available on my profile. So check it out. Be back next week on Tuesday my time. Maybe that's Monday night for you. We'll talk more about breathing, and this time more into the physical sensation of breath. Drill down into those physical sensations a bit more. See you then. Bye-bye.